My beloved soul, listen carefully, because what you are about to hear is not loud, not dramatic, and not meant for everyone, but your spirit will recognize it instantly, because when God moves quietly, the shift does not announce itself to the world, it announces itself to the chosen ones through an inner knowing that cannot be explained. Something has changed, and you felt it before you understood it. The atmosphere around your life is not the same anymore. Conversations feel different. Old emotions no longer grip you the way they once did. Certain people feel distant without conflict, and certain doors feel closed without force. This was not accident, not imagination, and not coincidence. This was divine movement without noise. God does not always move with thunder. Sometimes he moves with precision, silence, and perfect timing, and when he does, everything realigns without asking your permission. My beloved soul, the reason you are listening right now is because you were meant to notice what others missed. While the world was distracted, heaven adjusted the unseen. While others were chasing signs, God was rearranging foundations. You may not have prayed a new prayer, but your season changed anyway. You may not have asked for clarity, but clarity began finding you. That is how you know this shift was not emotional, it was spiritual. Something old ended without a funeral, and something new began without an announcement. This is how God protects what is sacred. He moves it quietly so it cannot be interfered with. If you feel a strange calm mixed with uncertainty, that is not confusion, that is transition. You are between what was and what is becoming, and heaven is holding you steady while the ground beneath your life resets. My beloved soul, do not skip this moment, because what you are feeling right now is confirmation, not chaos. You were not overlooked, you were being repositioned. God moved quietly because if he had moved loudly, too many voices would have tried to pull you back into places you already outgrew. That exhaustion you felt recently was not weakness, it was detachment. That silence from people you expected support from was not rejection, it was protection. God knows when to remove noise so that alignment can occur. This shift did not come to shock you, it came to stabilize you. You are not losing yourself, you are shedding what was never meant to follow you into the next season. Pay attention to how your reactions have changed. Things that once triggered you now pass through you. Arguments that once consumed you now feel unnecessary. This is not emotional numbness, this is spiritual maturity arriving quietly. God does not need to convince you when he upgrades you, he simply changes your appetite. What once satisfied you no longer fits, and what once scared you no longer controls you. My beloved soul, stay with me till the end, something powerful is waiting for you, because this quiet movement was not random, it was deliberate, strategic, and deeply personal. You were not prepared with instructions, you were prepared with inner readiness. God waited until your spirit was strong enough to handle the shift without explanation. That is why it feels subtle yet permanent. You did not feel fireworks, you felt release. You did not feel excitement, you felt peace. Peace is the signature of divine timing. When God moves early, there is anxiety. When God moves late, there is pain. But when God moves exactly on time, there is calm even before understanding. This is where you are now. Things are aligning behind the scenes, and you are being taught to trust what you cannot yet see. The reason God moved quietly is because this shift is not about proving anything to anyone. It is about securing what belongs to you. Loud seasons attract interference. Quiet seasons establish roots. What is being built in you right now needs depth, not applause. My beloved soul, you are stepping into a phase where discernment will matter more than validation. You will no longer feel the need to explain yourself, and that is how you will know you have changed. God removed certain desires not because they were sinful, but because they were distracting. He allowed certain connections to fade not because they were evil, but because they were seasonal. Everything that exited your life recently did so because it could not survive where you are going. You did not push it away. God gently lifted it out. If you remain till the end, the final word will change everything, because this quiet shift is not the destination, it is the preparation. Something greater is being positioned, and it requires you to be grounded, clear, and inwardly stable. That is why God did not rush you. He slowed the noise so you could hear yourself again. He dimmed the light so you could see what truly matters. This is not the season to announce, explain, or prove. This is the season to observe, integrate, and trust. My beloved soul, the fact that you are still standing, still listening, still open, means the shift did not break you, it refined you. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where heaven intended you to be when everything quietly changed. What makes this season difficult to explain is that nothing dramatic happened on the outside, yet everything on the inside began to rearrange itself with quiet authority, and this is often how divine precision operates, not through visible disruption but through internal recalibration that only the chosen can sense. You may have noticed that your thoughts no longer spiral the same way, that worries which once demanded your attention now arrive without staying, and that certain fears feel oddly outdated, as if they belong to a version of you that no longer exists. This is not accidental. This is the residue of a silent shift. God did not need to remove you from your environment to change you, He adjusted your perception instead. The same surroundings, the same people, the same routines, yet you are no longer reacting from the same place. That is how you know heaven intervened quietly. My beloved soul, when God moves without noise, it is because He is changing the root, not the surface. Surface change needs explanation. Root change speaks for itself over time. You are being rewired at a level that will soon make certain choices effortless, certain boundaries natural, and certain departures painless. This is why you no longer feel the urge to chase clarity from others. You are becoming comfortable with inner knowing. The urgency to be understood is dissolving, and in its place, discernment is taking residence. This is not emotional withdrawal, it is spiritual selectivity. God is teaching you when to engage and when to remain still. Silence is no longer empty for you, it is informative. In quiet moments, insight arrives without effort. Answers surface without force. This is evidence that the shift has already happened. Stay with me till the end, because what is unfolding now explains why the quiet movement was necessary. Loud transitions attract resistance. Quiet transitions bypass opposition entirely. God knew that if this change were announced, old patterns would attempt to negotiate their return. Old attachments would argue for relevance. Old versions of you would seek familiarity. So heaven chose silence. In that silence, habits lost their grip, temptations lost their appeal, and distractions lost their flavor. You did not have to fight them, because the environment that fed them quietly dissolved. This is how God delivers without struggle. He changes what nourishes the old life so the old life starves naturally. You may feel moments of nostalgia without desire, memories without pull, reflections without regret. That is healing completing itself. Not everything heals through confrontation. Some wounds heal through irrelevance. When the pain no longer has a purpose, it leaves on its own. My beloved soul, the reason this season feels both peaceful and unsettling is because peace arrived before explanation. You are learning to trust stability without proof. Faith is evolving inside you. It is no longer dependent on outcomes. It is rooted in alignment. You are becoming less reactive to uncertainty because your spirit recognizes direction even when details are missing. This is maturity. This is what happens when God promotes someone internally before changing their circumstances externally. You are being trained to remain steady even when visibility is limited. That is a rare strength. Do not leave yet, heaven has more to reveal, because this quiet shift also altered how you perceive time. You may feel less rushed, less pressured to hurry into decisions, less anxious about missing out. That is because you are no longer operating from scarcity. God adjusted your internal clock. You are learning that what is meant for you cannot pass you by. You are learning that delay does not mean denial when divine timing is involved. This understanding is settling into you without lectures, without reminders, without force. It is simply becoming obvious. That is the mark of inner alignment. The need to control outcomes is weakening. The desire to trust the process is strengthening. This does not mean you stopped caring, it means you stopped forcing. My beloved soul, you are entering a phase where intuition will guide you more than logic, yet nothing will feel reckless. Decisions will feel calm even before they make sense. Withdrawals will feel right even before reasons appear. This is not confusion, it is coherence forming beneath awareness. God often prepares His chosen by refining their sensitivity. You are becoming more aware of energy, tone, intention, and timing. This is why certain environments now feel heavy, certain conversations feel draining, and certain opportunities feel misaligned even if they look good on paper. You are no longer impressed by appearances. Substance now matters more. Alignment matters more. Peace matters more. This shift did not come to make life easier immediately, it came to make life clearer permanently. If you remain till the end, the final word will change everything, because the quiet movement you experienced was not the conclusion, it was the repositioning. You were gently moved out of the way of what could no longer carry you forward. You were placed into a lane where your growth will not require constant defense. God removed unnecessary battles by changing your direction silently. Soon, you will look back and realize how much was spared simply because you did not resist the quiet. You did not demand noise. You did not force signs. You allowed the unseen to do its work. That cooperation matters. Heaven responds to surrender faster than struggle. My beloved soul, this season is teaching you that not every miracle feels explosive. Some miracles feel like relief. Some feel like clarity. Some feel like not needing to try so hard anymore. And the greatest miracle of all is becoming someone who no longer abandons themselves for validation, urgency, or fear. You are learning to stand rooted even when nothing is being announced. That is when God trusts someone with greater things. There is a deeper layer to this quiet shift that few recognize at first, because it does not announce itself through new blessings or visible rewards, it reveals itself through subtraction, through what no longer has access to you, through what quietly loses its power to reach your core. You may have noticed that certain conversations no longer linger in your mind, that criticism fades faster, that praise no longer defines you, and that emotional hooks which once pulled you into overthinking now fall flat. This is not indifference, it is integration. God is sealing something within you that cannot be shaken by external noise. When heaven moves quietly, it often strengthens the inner walls before opening outer doors. You are being stabilized so that when expansion comes, it does not overwhelm you. My beloved soul, this season is not about gaining more, it is about becoming unmovable. The strength forming in you now is subtle but enduring. It does not rely on constant reassurance. It does not collapse under uncertainty. It remains present even when outcomes are delayed. This is the kind of strength that carries destiny without distortion. You are learning how to hold peace without explanation, and that alone tells you the shift was divine. Many people mistake calm for stagnation, but you are beginning to understand that calm is often a sign that resistance has ended. You are no longer fighting what is, and because of that, what is can now evolve. My beloved soul, do not skip this moment, because what is being described here is rare and sacred. Most people require chaos to change. You were changed through quiet agreement. Something within you said yes before your mind caught up. That is why this transformation feels natural instead of forced. God did not break you to rebuild you. He softened you so you could reshape yourself willingly. There is power in that kind of change. It lasts longer. It settles deeper. It does not need constant maintenance. You may feel moments of emptiness where old desires once lived, but that space is not loss, it is capacity. God clears space before He fills it. He removes attachments before He introduces assignments. You are not missing anything, you are being prepared to receive differently. The old way of wanting would have corrupted what is coming. So God adjusted your appetite. You are no longer hungry for intensity without substance. You are no longer attracted to connection without depth. You are no longer willing to trade peace for excitement. This is not restraint, it is refinement. Your spirit is choosing quality over quantity now. That is evidence of elevation. Stay with me till the end, something powerful is waiting for you, because this quiet shift also altered how you see yourself. You may not consciously realize it yet, but your inner dialogue has changed tone. You are less harsh with yourself. You recover faster from mistakes. You no longer punish yourself for learning curves. This is grace integrating internally. When God moves quietly, He often heals self-perception first. How you speak to yourself determines what you allow, what you tolerate, and what you pursue. Heaven knew that before changing your environment, your inner voice needed alignment. You are no longer your own enemy. You are becoming your own anchor. This is why self-doubt feels weaker lately. It may still appear, but it no longer feels authoritative. It no longer sounds like truth. That is because truth has taken residence. You are beginning to trust your discernment without apology. You are beginning to honor your limits without guilt. This is not selfishness, it is stewardship. God entrusts more to those who protect what they carry. You are learning to protect your energy, your time, your focus, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. This wisdom did not come from books or advice. It came from lived experience settling into understanding. My beloved soul, there is a reason God did not rush this process. Quick changes impress people. Slow changes preserve people. You are being preserved. The quiet shift was heaven's way of shielding you while growth took place. Not everything needs witnesses. Some transformations need privacy to survive. You were given that privacy. You were allowed to evolve without being questioned, judged, or interrupted. That alone is mercy. Do not leave yet, heaven has more to reveal, because the next realization may surprise you. You are no longer afraid of being misunderstood. You are no longer desperate to be seen correctly by everyone. This does not mean you do not value connection, it means you no longer require agreement to feel secure. This inner security is new. It is fragile at first, but it strengthens quickly when honored. God is teaching you to stand without leaning, to listen without absorbing, to love without losing yourself. These are advanced spiritual skills, and they are being installed quietly. You may notice that you respond more slowly now. You pause before speaking. You observe before acting. This is not hesitation, it is discernment activating. You are no longer driven by impulse. You are guided by inner clarity. That clarity does not shout, it nudges. It does not force, it confirms. This is how God communicates when trust has been established. You are trusted now. That is why guidance feels gentle instead of urgent. Heaven no longer needs to get your attention through disruption. You are listening already. If you remain till the end, the final word will change everything, because the truth is this quiet shift marked the end of survival mode. You are no longer living to get through. You are beginning to live to align. Survival seeks relief. Alignment seeks resonance. You are choosing what matches your spirit, not what merely distracts your pain. That choice will redefine your future. You may not see immediate results, but you will feel long-term stability. And stability is the soil where lasting blessings grow. My beloved soul, the calm you feel now is not the absence of challenge, it is the presence of grounding. Whatever comes next will meet a version of you that is centered, aware, and inwardly anchored. That is why God moved quietly. He wanted you ready, not rushed. Rooted, not reactive. Aware, not anxious. And now that the shift has happened, you will begin to notice that what finds you next will recognize you as someone who can hold it. As this quiet realignment continues to unfold, you may begin to sense a subtle separation between who you once were and who you are now becoming, not through rejection of the past, but through an honoring of growth that no longer fits into old frameworks. The memories remain, the experiences still exist, yet they no longer define your identity. This is a significant marker of internal shift. When God moves quietly, He often loosens the emotional glue that keeps you bound to outdated self-concepts. You are no longer interpreting your worth through what you endured. You are no longer measuring your future through the lens of former limitations. Something inside you has recalibrated its reference point. You are learning to locate yourself in the present moment rather than in old narratives. This is why reflection now feels observational instead of emotional. You can look back without being pulled backward. You can acknowledge lessons without reopening wounds. That is not avoidance, it is completion. My beloved soul, the completion you are experiencing did not require confrontation because it required understanding. Some cycles do not close with confrontation, they close with clarity. And clarity arrived quietly. You did not force closure, it found you when you were ready to receive it. This is a gift many never experience because they remain attached to familiar pain. You were released from it without noise. That release is sacred. It signals readiness for something cleaner, lighter, and more aligned. Stay present in this moment, because what is unfolding now is the strengthening of discernment beyond emotion. You are beginning to sense truth before reaction. You are able to feel when something is off without needing evidence. This is not suspicion, it is sensitivity refined. God has been training your inner compass. You are learning to trust subtle signals instead of waiting for obvious red flags. This shift will protect you in ways you cannot yet see. It will guide you away from situations that drain you and toward spaces that sustain you. My beloved soul, do not leave yet, heaven has more to reveal, because this discernment is not meant to isolate you, it is meant to align you. You are not withdrawing from connection, you are refining the quality of connection you allow. Shallow exchanges no longer satisfy you. Repetitive dynamics feel exhausting. You crave sincerity, depth, and mutual presence. This is not expectation, it is resonance. Your spirit is no longer willing to dim itself to maintain harmony. You are learning that true harmony does not require self-erasure. This realization came quietly, but it will transform how you relate moving forward. You will notice that you speak more honestly now, not harshly, but clearly. You will notice that you listen without losing yourself. You will notice that you leave situations without guilt when alignment is absent. This is not coldness, it is self-respect taking form. God honors those who honor what He placed within them. You are beginning to treat your inner life as sacred ground. That is why access feels limited. Not everyone is meant to enter this season with you. Not every voice deserves influence. This understanding did not come through rules, it came through inner conviction. You simply know now. And knowing does not require defense. As this knowing settles, you may also become aware of a new patience rising within you. Not the patience of waiting with tension, but the patience of trusting without urgency. You are no longer racing time. You are no longer comparing timelines. The pressure to catch up has eased. This is because God removed comparison quietly. You are learning to honor your pace without shame. You are recognizing that growth is not linear and destiny is not competitive. Each soul has its own rhythm, and you are finally in sync with yours. This sync brings a steadiness that cannot be manufactured. It allows you to remain calm even when outcomes are uncertain. It allows you to rest without fear of falling behind. My beloved soul, if you remain till the end, the final word will change everything, because this patience is not passive, it is grounded. It is the patience of someone who knows movement is happening even when nothing appears to be changing. Beneath the surface, momentum is building. Roots are deepening. Structure is forming. God often works underground before anything breaks through. You are in that underground phase, not hidden in neglect, but protected in preparation. This is why there is less urgency and more stillness. Stillness is not absence of action, it is presence of trust. You are learning to be present without needing to control the narrative. This will allow future blessings to arrive without distortion. When someone is rushed, they mishandle what comes. When someone is grounded, they steward it well. You are being taught stewardship now. How to hold peace. How to hold clarity. How to hold responsibility without overwhelm. These lessons are quiet but essential. They cannot be rushed. They must be integrated. My beloved soul, you may notice that your prayers are changing. You are asking less for rescue and more for alignment. You are asking less for escape and more for wisdom. This shift in prayer language reflects a deeper trust. You are no longer begging for outcomes, you are surrendering to process. This surrender is not giving up, it is opening up. God responds differently to surrender. He moves more gently, more precisely, more intimately. That is why his movement felt quiet. He was responding to your inner posture. You no longer needed loud intervention. You needed subtle guidance. And that guidance arrived. As you move forward, you will begin to recognize that what comes next will feel natural rather than forced. Opportunities will align instead of compete. Connections will flow instead of drain. Decisions will feel clear instead of conflicted. This does not mean challenges will disappear, it means you will meet them from a place of stability rather than survival. That difference changes everything. You are no longer bracing for impact. You are standing grounded. My beloved soul, the quiet shift was not meant to be impressive. It was meant to be effective. And it has already done its work. As this season reaches its final unfolding, there is a truth settling into place that may feel gentle yet irreversible, a knowing that does not rush you forward but anchors you firmly where you stand. You are no longer searching for proof that something changed, because your inner life has already adjusted to a new frequency. The questions that once demanded answers have softened. The urge to define everything has loosened. You are learning to live without forcing meaning, trusting that meaning reveals itself when you are ready to hold it. This is the quiet confidence that follows divine movement. God does not always conclude his work with fireworks. Sometimes he ends with stability, with a deep sense of being held even when the path ahead is still forming. You may notice that your body feels calmer, your breath deeper, your presence more settled. These are not small details. The body often recognizes safety before the mind does. Your nervous system is responding to alignment. You are no longer bracing against life. You are standing with it. My beloved soul, this is what it feels like when heaven finishes an internal assignment. Not excitement, not urgency, but grounded readiness. You are not waiting for permission anymore. You are allowing life to meet you where you are. This allowance creates space for what is meant to arrive without strain. You have learned something essential through this quiet shift. Not everything valuable announces itself. Some of the most important transformations happen beneath awareness and reveal their impact only through how you live afterward. You now respond rather than react. You choose rather than cling. You trust rather than control. These changes did not require effort, they required surrender. And surrender did not weaken you, it stabilized you. My beloved soul, do not skip this moment, because this recognition matters. You are not the same person who began this journey. You may not have marked the change with ceremony, but your spirit knows. You no longer define yourself by what you are chasing. You are beginning to define yourself by what you are rooted in. This root is not ambition alone, it is integrity. It is alignment between what you feel, what you value, and how you act. When those elements come into harmony, life begins to respond differently. Resistance decreases. Flow increases. What once required effort now unfolds naturally. This does not mean life becomes effortless, it means effort becomes meaningful. You are no longer expending energy on proving your worth, fixing others, or revisiting closed doors. Your energy is consolidating. That consolidation is power. God moved quietly because loud transitions scatter attention. Quiet transitions concentrate it. You are becoming focused without being rigid, open without being exposed, receptive without being passive. This balance is rare. It is cultivated slowly. It cannot be rushed. Heaven trusted you with it because you learned to listen without demanding explanation. Stay with me till the end, something powerful is waiting for you, because there is one more layer to understand. This quiet shift did not just prepare you for what is coming, it also freed you from what could have harmed you later. Paths that looked promising but carried hidden costs quietly lost their appeal. Attachments that felt comforting but limited your growth gently dissolved. You were spared without being alarmed. Protection does not always look like rescue. Sometimes it looks like redirection that feels like peace. You may never know all the things that did not happen because of this shift, and that is a mercy. God does not always reveal what He prevented. He simply leads you forward lighter. This lightness is not emptiness, it is clarity. You are less burdened by expectation. You are less influenced by urgency. You are more present. Presence is where discernment lives. When you are present, you notice subtle cues. You sense alignment before it becomes obvious. You feel discomfort before it becomes damage. This sensitivity is not weakness, it is wisdom. My beloved soul, as you carry this wisdom forward, you may notice that your life begins to organize itself differently. Priorities reorder. Time feels more intentional. You are less available for distraction and more available for purpose. Purpose here does not mean constant productivity. It means intentional living. Choosing rest when needed. Choosing action when aligned. Choosing silence when words would dilute truth. These choices create a life that feels coherent. Coherence is a sign that inner and outer realities are beginning to match. God moved quietly so that this coherence could form without interference. You were allowed to grow without being rushed, judged, or compared. That freedom shaped you more than pressure ever could. Do not leave yet, heaven has more to reveal, because the final realization is this: you are no longer afraid of the unknown. Uncertainty still exists, but it does not dominate you. You trust yourself to meet what comes. You trust God to guide what unfolds. This trust is not blind, it is earned through experience. You saw that when you stopped forcing, things aligned. You saw that when you released control, clarity emerged. You saw that when you honored peace, direction followed. These experiences rewired your understanding of how life works with you, not against you. You are no longer waiting for life to start. You are living within it. This is the shift's true outcome. Not a new label, not a dramatic breakthrough, but a stable sense of belonging within your own journey. My beloved soul, if you remain till the end, the final word will change everything. Because this is the truth you carry forward, God does not rush what is real. He nurtures it. He protects it. He allows it to grow quietly until it can stand on its own. You are standing now. Rooted, aware, and inwardly aligned. Whatever arrives next will meet a version of you that is no longer fragmented, no longer chasing, no longer uncertain of your worth. You are ready not because everything is clear, but because you are steady. That steadiness is the evidence that God moved, and that everything truly shifted. Type Amen.